College, working with Professor Soundarajan.
Yes, sir. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, today the topic is on green dialysis, which is going to be more and more talked about because of awareness on the environment. So kidney disease and climate have a common features. Kidney as a recycling and keeps our body healthy. Climate is also the same. So they have a bidirectional relationship. If one worsens, the other also worsens. So if there is an effect on the environment, there is an effect on the kidney and vice versa. So the aim is to develop a climate resilient kidney care system that is accountable, sustainable, and has a low carbon healthcare. So green nephrology is basically talked about as eco-conscious approach to kidney care as well as environmental health. So though we have this Hippocrates oath is, whatever we do, we should not harm others. By treating somebody, shouldn't do harm to others. So this is the basis. So approach to green nephrology is, as on date, first is to recognize what is the problem, advocacy for the change, educational initiatives, and collaborative research. So these are the four baselines on which this entire approach is going on. So it starts from preventive health care. So rather than talking about patient coming with ESRD, it's better to stop certain diseases progressing to renal failure so that we don't need to put them on dialysis. So it starts early identification, point of care technology screenings are coming in so that we identify renal problem earlier. More emphasis on non-dialysis therapies, then comes whether early transplant or put them on conservative, and finally comes green dialysis, that's the end stage. So if you see the pyramid going down, more and more environment damage come as we go down the pyramid and when patient reaches dialysis. So green dialysis is part of green nephrology, and today's topic will be sustainable healthcare, which relies on international collaboration and to quantify the sustainable values. This is more important, based on which Green K vision was formulated for sustainable kidney care that is good for both patients as well as kidneys. So it's not an individual aspect. It has to be an environmental component, then comes the economic and social responsibility. So combined together, where the join is the sustainable healthcare. So green dialysis, which is the talk today, refers to practices that minimizes the environmental impact of any treatment we give. So how to make this environmental friendly? Step one is to identify or measure how much damage we are doing to the environment by doing dialysis, which is measured as carbon footprint or plastic footprint. Now, carbon footprint measures the greenhouse gases that is emitted, and plastic has a different role. Whereas carbon footprint only calculates the gases that is released, plastic footprint has the weight of plastic which is being released in the environment, because plastics are non-degradable, and subsequent to that is also the greenhouse that plastic liberates. So it's a dual damage. So for simple calculation, let us see how much damage we do by doing a dialysis. Each dialysis we do is calculated as we drive a car for 100 kilometers. So for every one dialysis we do, amount of pollution we create is like driving a vehicle for 100 kilometers. So this is how we have to neutralize and see how we can reduce it. Now, the plastic load that we generate is much more huge. So that is why the caring of kidney and protecting the planet becomes a vital role for dialysis caregivers. And why? Because nephrology specialty are the largest producer of medical waste among all specialties. And dialysis sector alone is most environmentally harmful within the health sector system, and demand for dialysis is going to triple by 2030. It's driven by population aging, disease prevalence, and expanding access So more and more dialysis we push to the peripheral areas, more environmental hazard it's going to become. And then comes water consumption. More than 200 billion liters of water globally is being consumed. And if you have 100,000 patients on dialysis, we generate almost 3.23 crores of kg weight, of which for plastic is 40%. So now ISN comes in. So every meeting they have proposed to have a topic on green dialysis or green nephrology, and they have identified the problem, but solution is very minimally offered. What they say is reduce, reuse, and recycle. These are the three basic points with which ISN is working, but they have a emerging leadership program 2022 where many Indians are also being recruited in it. So do they have a model? We can tell everybody do this, do that, but we need to follow a model. Does Indian society have a guideline for how to go about it? Sorry. And if you have seen the dialysis reimbursement, they don't include the waste disposal for dialysis. So when these three components are missing, how are we going to achieve the sustainability? And are we ignoring something? So whenever you talk of climate change or whatever it is, most of the time we only talk about carbon emission. But in dialysis, plastics are much more important because 30 to 40% dialysis waste is plastic, which has to be measured as a plastic footprint. And we have certain apps and softwares which calculate how much ecological footprint we use, or it's our responsibility. So now when ISN tells us about the reduce, reuse, recycle, this doesn't apply to the plastic. So to achieve a net zero plastic footprint, there's a different insignia which includes reduce the plastic waste. So one side we say for use single-use dialyzer, but when we want to take care of plastics, we have to do multiple use. So there is a contradiction. And then invent a solution and also measure the plastic footprint. So step 2 in this direction will be from vision to vision to practice. So most of the nephrology societies worldwide have started looking into these problems and are giving guidelines. So International Society of Nephrology has brought in ELP program, climate change, and urgent need for green nephrology. ERA, that is European Society, are also coming out publishing various documents towards green dialysis, good practices, NKF, and certain foundation like SNNDT and French and Italian foundation has brought out guidelines. ISN has not done much of it on the guidelines format, but they are using social media as a major platform in promoting and actively contributing in journals and topics on green nephrology. So step 3 is call to action. So Brazil was the first to bring in this concept of call to action. Don't talk, start doing something, show the results. We know there is something going wrong, but what are we going to do? So from theoretical idea, it has to go to practical action. So carbon credit system was introduced. So basically it represents 1 ton of carbon dioxide, which equivalent we can neutralize. So carbon neutrality is a concept where if I cannot do anything, I can go and buy my credit and neutralize what I have damaged. So that is the importance of measuring the emission. So again it comes reduction, removal, and offsetting. So in the 3 mechanisms by which we can achieve carbon neutrality. So the first one is most talked about, that is use of energy efficient machines, water management, reduction in person visiting to the nephrology unit, and optimizing the purchase and indent. Removal is to invest on best way of disposing or reforestation program. carbon capture technology. And offsetting is basically go and purchase carbon credit and neutralize the calculated greenhouse gases. So what are the company doing? So Davita is a major dialysis providers. They invested in wind farms, forest conservation, and projects to offset their emission. Fresenius has also partnered with the Wildlife Fund to protect the forest. And European Dialysis, EDTA, encourages members to adopt carbon neutral procedures. So coming to India, the problem here is after Corona, the law changed. Previously, we were able to dispose it simply, but now this comes under a law and a rule where plastic is taken as a hazardous material. It has to be put in a red colored container, and you cannot just like that dispose it. It has to be sterilized, autoclaved, shredded, and then only it goes out of the unit. So it becomes an additional burden because if we have to follow this, we have to invest on certain equipments, machinery, and who is going to pay for it? So most of the unit, I don't think, follow these procedures. So building a better future when we don't have anything, a roadmap to follow, what as an individuals can we do? So recycling plastic waste after shredding sterilization is expensive than the original cost of the plastic. So it doesn't work in Indian scenario. Dialysis plastic waste as per law has to be treated as dead-end plastic. Dead-end plastic means you cannot recycle it, you cannot convert it into any other product. It has only very limited option. And that option is, can be used as incinerator. And again, incinerator also releases certain greenhouse gases, expensive. And as on date, incinerator cannot handle this kind of waste. Landfill is what mostly they have done, but this is also not allowed. And landfill in certain states, like if you take Puducherry, the cost of the land will increase. Pyrolysis is expensive. Basically, it breaks down the bonding and converts plastic into natural certain fuels. Now, easiest thing to do is to use it for construction and road making. Again, road making, we can't put in highways. It cannot be used in a machine base because temperature will be very high. It can be used only in hand-mixed tar that can be put in village roads. And construction, plastic plus cement doesn't fit, so they don't use much. So if you see the other countries, again, they have problem with plastics. NHS, by just reducing single-use plastic and using cardboards instead of plastic buckets, could reduce by 10%, which is minimal. So I came out with a model, what we call as to bring in plastic neutrality in dialysis by converting surrogate plastic waste into pebbles, sinkable pebbles. Basically, pebbles is used, blue metal we call, for construction. So we thought, why don't we make it into pebbles so that this can be readily used by anybody for construction purpose. And suddenly we saw our paper was getting a lot of downloads every month, 100. It has almost reached 1,000 downloads. So there is an interest national-wide to look into how a model can work. So what is surrogacy in plastic waste management? Basically, when we cut one tree, we have to plant two. So surrogacy in plastic is, I cannot take this dialysis waste because law doesn't permit me. Rather, I buy it from the market, the waste which is available, and neutralize it. So this is called surrogacy in plastic waste management. And recently, certain agencies in India are funding these kind of procedures where they give you plastic credits. And a lot of money is also given for such thing in the form of plastic credit. So there is interest shown by companies. So we need to move forward in one direction where we can do something easily. So right now we are following what is called as linear economy, which is unsustainable practice. That is take, make, dispose. So most of the things which you read today will say reconvert or recycle plastics, which may be legally allowed in other countries, but not in India. So this kind of take, make, dispose, linear economy cannot establish sustainability because it's a one-time and expensive procedure, especially when cost of dialysis, they reimburse only 2,000. Such kind of infrastructure is difficult to do. And we made with our own pebbles, cement bricks, plastic bricks. So the cost of clay baked bricks is 12 rupees, but this is costing 18. So it's not sustainable. Though we are able to pack up this plastic as per the law, we cannot sell it in market. So again comes a problem where we have a solution, but the society has not been aware enough to support a solution. So what next? We need to do something more. So then comes a circular economy model to sustain this, what we call to achieve sustainability. So we need to have a model where I should make it profitable, cheaper than the existing mechanism, and that is how it works. And sustainability dialysis takes a giant leap forward with incorporation of circular economy. Without circular economy, the entire green dialysis, we cannot move forward. Ultimately, we cannot achieve the aim of green dialysis. So circular economy offers a sustainable alternative basically by closing the loop. Closing the loop means we start with the waste, take it to the market, sell it, and that again comes back to the system. So this loop is sustainable only if we have a circular economy model. So again, we started working on this. We wanted to turn the dialysis waste into treasure. So the model we started was to upcycle a community and community empowerment. So aim was to establish a cost-effective, reproducible, and socially impactful model that focuses on plastic waste neutralization and also close the loop through effective circular economy. So what we did, we just went to the beach side, took an NGO, collected the net trash. So if you know the plastic nets that fishermen use, every time it's not usable, they throw it into the sea. And each net can damage up to 100,000, 1 ton of fish per year. So imagine every day they throw to the sea almost 12 ton of nets. So we collected these nets around 4 tons because the vehicle could carry 4, and which was equal to 3,000 dialysis session. Calculating based on Dr. Manjula who had presented the paper saying that each dialysis we waste around 1.2 to 2 kg plastics. So 4 ton we could collect the trash. Then we had to remove the dirt, convert it into pebbles using pulverizer, extruder, and yes. So this is the way we had to convert it to pebble. And these pebbles were then used to make what we call as plasto concrete. That is, a plastic doesn't mix with cement. So we have to use certain method by adding calcium into the plastic so that it binds to cement. As a nephrologist, we know stones can stick into the kidney. So it's easy for us to make this calcium stick onto the plastic. And then we focused on the garden utility items like pot, flower vase, figurines. We used a renal failure patient on dialysis to make certain figurines like a dustbin shaped like kidney, so that creates awareness, which is part of green dialysis. We also made all these items and also gave it to various nephrologists. And these are the pots I'm using in my house. If you see the other one, which is plastic, it's made from recycled plastic. With one flood and one heat, it gives way. This becomes again end waste plastic. So recycled plastic is also a problem because its life is much shorter than the original plastic. So what we do here is concretization is dead end. It's like putting it to a cemetery, and its life is longer. We can color it, sell it cheaper than the plastic ones. And there is a model which we are following. So these are certain things we are trying to bring in more. And then comes campaigning. Okay, let us start promoting this. So we started the Save Kidney Joint campaign. We focused on women in nephrology, sent mail, WhatsApp to all the women members and told them, light a lamp for kidney health, and gave them the lamps made from plastic waste, which is concrete. So our dialysis technician, the other photograph is Dr. Muthu Jayaraman house, where she sends the pictures as soon as she lights the lamp. And we also used Lions Club doctors, who are also in every function. We said, why don't you light the lamp so that the money which comes goes back for promoting plastic waste. And then Preeti Meena is one of the ELP members, and she also put it in Twitter and other social media groups, which attracted almost 2,000 hits. So people are interested, things are moving on. So to conclude, together we can achieve a sustainable kidney care. It's time to act and innovate. We just cannot take data and tell you should do this when others cannot do one. So quantification is very important. A person who has 2 dialysis machines, who is throwing only 100 kg plastic, has a less load than a unit which is having 1,000 machines and catering to, like if you see Gujarat, if they say 15 lakhs dialysis done, next question is how much kilogram plastic you have generated. So you cannot equate one nephrology unit with other. So quantification is important. We are trying to bring in software to see who spends or who puts into environment how much wastage. So then introduction of plastic neutrality has to be brought into the textbooks, which is not available now. Surrogate plastic model is helpful. And plastic credit system, if we start promoting, there's a lot of money in this, because even now WHO and other international agencies wants to give money to others to neutralize their plastic waste. So if we have a model, it not only generates money, we can also use the international, because they cannot do cheaper. India has the manpower, we have a technology, we have a very good plastic collectors, garbage collectors, so we have a system in place. So we can use or bring in the concept of plastic credit, use of plasto concrete. We have made it into a ready mix. So just you take 1 ton of it, mix it with 10 tons of 1:10, use it for all construction purpose, which helps in circular economy to close the loop. And it's right time for various societies to introduce plastic waste into their discussion. And climate change also should talk about plastic waste, not talk about carbon gas emission, because that is not measurable. Plastic is measurable. And go on to action mode. So alone we can do so little, together we can do a lot more. And India is a land of Sanatana Dharma, which believes in recycling, maintaining the environment. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you for the opportunity.